There's an urgent situation developing in your neighborhood that you need to know about right now. You may have noticed strange things happening lately: unexpected construction, unusual visitors taking photos of homes, or surprising changes to local regulations. These aren't random events. Your instincts that something isn't quite right are absolutely correct. That uneasy feeling when you drive through your community isn't just in your head. Someone has been carefully watching and planning changes that will directly affect your home, your family, and your property value. The signs have been there: community board meetings suddenly rescheduled, new faces appearing at neighborhood events asking unusual questions, and small changes to local ordinances that seemed minor at the time. This information is extremely time-sensitive. What's happening behind the scenes in your neighborhood right now is part of a carefully orchestrated plan that's already in motion. The next few weeks are critical. What you're about to learn explains everything that's been feeling off in your community lately, and why you need to pay close attention before it's too late. A woman in your neighborhood is leading a coordinated effort that will dramatically change your community, and not in the way you might hope. You've likely seen her. She's often friendly, at community events, seems interested in neighborhood improvement, and presents herself as a concerned resident just like you. But behind this helpful facade, she's been building a powerful alliance with three influential neighbors who have the connections and authority to push through significant changes without most residents noticing until it's too late. Her first ally is a member of your homeowners association board or local neighborhood council who has access to community records, private contact information, and the ability to influence or even change local regulations without drawing attention. The second is a local business owner who has financial resources and commercial connections that extend beyond your neighborhood. The third is a retired government official or professional who knows exactly how to navigate permit processes, zoning laws, and legal loopholes that ordinary homeowners aren't aware of. These four individuals have been meeting regularly in private, carefully planning each step while maintaining a friendly, community-minded appearance in public. They've created a detailed timeline for implementing their plans, targeting specific properties first, while building momentum for larger changes. What makes this situation particularly concerning is how they've been able to influence local decisions without raising suspicion, gradually positioning themselves to execute the next phase of their plan, which directly affects properties like yours. Here's how you can verify this is really happening in your neighborhood. Look back at the seemingly random community incidents over the past few months: the unexpected tree removal on certain streets, the unusual survey workers who asked detailed questions about your property, or the sudden interest in drainage issues in specific areas. These weren't isolated events, but carefully designed test runs to assess resident reactions and community resistance. Check your local government website for recent changes to ordinances or zoning regulations. You'll likely find small modifications that seemed insignificant when viewed individually, but when connected, reveal a pattern that creates openings for the larger changes they're planning. These modifications often contain vague language about community improvement or development opportunities that most residents skim over. Pay attention to the neighborhood surveys that have circulated recently. These weren't just gathering opinions, they were mapping out which homeowners might resist and which might support their plans. The questions were carefully crafted to identify potential obstacles while appearing to be routine community feedback. The most convincing evidence is in property records and recent land purchases. This woman and her allies have been researching ownership histories, property values, and zoning classifications throughout your neighborhood. In some cases, strategic properties near major access points or corner lots have already changed hands to associates connected to their plan. Former residents from another nearby community experienced the exact same pattern: friendly community. Advocates who gradually implemented changes that ultimately forced many original homeowners to sell below market value. The similarities are not coincidental. It's the same playbook now being used in your neighborhood. What these four individuals ultimately want is a complete transformation of your neighborhood that serves their financial interests while pushing out homeowners who would oppose their vision. Their plan isn't about improving the community for current residents. It's about changing who lives there entirely. The woman and her three powerful allies have connections to outside investors who are already committed to funding these neighborhood changes. These investors see your community as undervalued property that could be significantly more profitable with the right improvements and a different demographic of residents. Their vision includes multi-stage development that begins with seemingly positive changes: road improvements, landscaping upgrades, or community amenities. These initial projects are designed to gain support and reduce suspicion. But these are merely the foundation for more significant changes: rezoning to allow for higher density housing, commercial space integration, or luxury developments that will make the neighborhood unrecognizable and unaffordable for many current residents. The timeline they've established is already in motion. The first visible phase is set to begin within months, with the more dramatic changes implemented over the next 2 to 3 years. They're counting on the fact that by the time most residents realize the full scope of what's happening, the legal groundwork will already be secured. Traditional methods of neighborhood resistance won't be effective because they've already anticipated and prepared for standard community opposition. They've studied which legal challenges typically succeed and have structured their approach specifically to withstand those challenges. They've also been careful to follow technical legal requirements while keeping their true intentions obscured from public view. Your property has been specifically identified in their planning for several important reasons. The location, size, or features of your home make it strategically valuable to their overall vision. Properties like yours are considered key parcels that, once acquired, make surrounding properties easier to obtain or less valuable if they remain independent. This woman and her allies have already assessed your potential influence in the community. They've categorized each homeowner as either a potential obstacle, a likely ally, or someone who won't notice what's happening until it's too late. Based on your community involvement and connections, they've developed specific approaches for dealing with you. They believe they have leverage over homeowners like you through various means. Perhaps financial pressures they've researched, your work schedule that prevents active community involvement, or your limited knowledge of property regulations. They're counting on your politeness and reluctance to create conflict when they begin implementing changes. Their strategy targets specific homeowners first, typically those who are older, less connected to neighbors, or facing financial challenges. They approach these Phase 1 properties with offers that seem generous but are actually below true market value. Your property may be in their Phase 2 or Phase 3 acquisition plan, which gives you a critical window of opportunity to protect yourself. You need to take immediate action to protect your property rights before these plans progress further. Start by documenting everything about your property's current status. Take dated photographs of your home, property lines, and surrounding areas. Create records of existing community features and layouts. This documentation becomes critically important if you need to prove how changes have occurred. When interacting with this woman or her three allies, use specific legal phrases that establish boundaries, such as, "I'll need any proposals in writing," "for my attorney to review," or "I'm documenting all discussions regarding property and zoning matters." These statements signal that you're aware and prepared, often causing them to redirect their efforts to less informed targets. Form connections with neighbors not yet aligned with their group. Begin casual conversations about preserving neighborhood, character, and property values. Avoid accusatory language that could make you appear paranoid. Instead, focus on community preservation and transparency in local decision-making. Visit your local government offices to review public records about recent property transactions, permit applications, and zoning requests in your neighborhood. Request copies of any documents involving properties near yours. Simply letting officials know you're actively reviewing these records can slow down irregular approvals. Secure your home surveillance systems against potential tampering by changing default passwords and ensuring cameras cover property boundaries. Some homeowners have reported mysterious outages during important community meetings or when surveyors visit. Attend every neighborhood association, planning commission, and city council meeting related to your area. Ask specific questions like, "Can you clarify how this proposal impacts existing homeowners' rights?" Or, "What studies have been done on how these changes affect current residents?" Recording these official responses creates a public record that can later help challenge improper procedures. Request written notification of any proposed changes affecting your property or street, citing local ordinances requiring resident notification. This paper trail becomes essential if legal challenges become necessary. Your most powerful defense is a coordinated community response. Form a neighborhood protection committee with trusted neighbors who share concerns about preserving the community's character. Keep this group focused on positive community preservation rather than opposition to specific individuals. Create communication channels that can't be easily monitored or influenced. Private email groups, secure messaging apps, or in-person meetings, rather than public social media where discussions can be tracked. Information control is critical, as the woman and her allies often use knowledge of community concerns to adjust their strategies. Connect with legal resources experienced in property rights and zoning issues. Many communities facing similar situations have found success with attorneys specializing in homeowner association law or property rights advocacy. Some law firms offer initial consultations at reduced rates for community groups. Develop a systematic documentation process where multiple neighbors record all unusual activities, changes to public spaces, and unexpected visits from surveyors or officials. When compiled, these observations often reveal patterns and connections that individual homeowners might miss. Local media can be powerful allies when approached correctly. Instead of framing the situation as a neighborhood dispute, present it as a story about community preservation, transparency in local government, and the rights of existing homeowners. Provide journalists with clear documentation and focus on factual concerns rather than speculative accusations. The most successful community defense is visible, unified presence at key meetings. When large numbers of informed residents attend zoning hearings, planning sessions, and council meetings, officials become much more cautious about approving irregular requests. Coordinate attendance to ensure consistent presence, with different neighbors asking prepared questions that build upon each other to create a comprehensive public record of your concerns. Once you've addressed the immediate situation, Establish permanent safeguards for your neighborhood. Create a formal neighborhood association with bylaws specifically designed to protect against predatory development. These legal structures provide standing in administrative and court proceedings that individual homeowners often lack. Research and support zoning overlays or historic designations that can provide additional protection for established neighborhoods. These special classifications often require more stringent review processes for proposed changes and give residents greater input. Build relationships with elected officials who represent your district. Regular communication with council members, planning commissioners, and county representatives ensures your community's interests are considered in government decisions. Stay informed about upcoming elections and engage candidates on neighborhood preservation issues. Establish an information sharing network with other nearby communities to provide early warning of similar attempts. Development patterns often move through adjacent neighborhoods, and strategies successful in one area are frequently attempted in nearby communities. Invest in your neighborhood's identity through community events, shared spaces, and collaborative projects. Neighborhoods with strong social bonds and clear identity are significantly more difficult targets for dramatic transformation. Most importantly, maintain vigilance through regular review of public records, consistent attendance at community meetings, and ongoing documentation of neighborhood conditions. The strongest protection is an informed, engaged community that values its existing character and residents.